I'm LA mayoral candidate Paul-E-Tics, and this is Paul-E-Tics. With the election less than a week away, I want to let you know what you can expect to see on your ballot. But first, let's talk a little bit about our city's political system. Los Angeles is what's known as a charter city. That means that we have a unique set of laws that form the legal foundation of our local government. The document that contains these laws is called the City Charter. You can think of the charter functioning for the city sort of like the Constitution does for our country. Our elected government is composed of the Los Angeles City Council, with 15 city council districts, and the mayor of Los Angeles, as well as several other elective offices, like the city attorney, who looks out for the legal interests of the city, and the city controller, who is kind of like the city's accountant. The mayor, several of the city council positions, and the city attorney and controller are all on March 7th ballot, though the last two are running unopposed. What's also on the ballot are 4 city and 1 county initiative called measures. If passed, these measures become a part of our city's rules and regulations. There are 2 ways to get a measure on the ballot. The legislature has the ability to place them on the ballot, or a registered voter can put one on the ballot by collecting signatures from other registered voters. Here's a brief, unbiased summary of the 5 measures Angelinos will be voting on in our upcoming election. Let's start with the countywide measure, Measure H, which will impose a 1/4-cent sales tax increase across the county to fund wraparound social services for the homeless. This county measure is a crucial component to the City of LA's Prop HHH, passed by voters in November's election, that will raise a $1.2 billion bond to build 7,000 to 10,000 units of housing for the homeless over the next 10 years. Next up is Measure M. In November, Californians voted to make recreational marijuana legal under state law. But we didn't iron out all the details surrounding who can grow, make, and sell marijuana products. Measure M gives the City Council, who initially created the measure, and the mayor permission to regulate the marijuana industry in LA. Since it's a new and unpredictable industry, Measure M also gives the city the ability to revise the regulation without having to put it to a vote in front of the city. It would also impose taxes and civil penalties for businesses that violate the new regulations. Our next measure, N, was written by members of the marijuana industry and would give a monopoly over the local marijuana trade to the 135 dispensaries allowed under Proposition D. Supporters of N determined that it was better to work with the city, local communities, and businesses to develop cohesive citywide regulations. They abandoned their measure, too late to remove it from the ballot, and are now supporting Measure M. Next is Measure P, which is really just a matter of legal house cleaning. Essentially, P corrects a discrepancy in the city charter that was not updated in 2015 after Californians voted to increase the length of permits and franchises granted to water-related businesses from 50 years to 66 years. This measure will fix that oversight. The most controversial measure on the ballot is easily Measure S. Supporters of S are justifiably concerned that large development projects are changing the face of LA, disrupting neighborhoods, increasing traffic, and pushing out lower-income households. They argue that developers are currying building rights from City Hall through political contributions and kickbacks, and propose a 2-year moratorium on buildings that require amendments to the city's general plan. S would demand that City Hall revise that extremely outdated general plan and update it every 5 years. Opponents of the measure fear that the moratorium will only exacerbate our terrible housing shortage, make it even harder to build low-income housing and housing for the homeless, and lead to thousands of lost jobs. They also argue that nothing in Measure S directly addresses corruption in the city planning process or developer contributions. So there you have it. Those are the measures you'll be voting for on March 7th. In the interest of full transparency, I've posted how I plan to vote and why on my website at voteforlove.com. We'll be back with one more episode of Paul-E-Tics before the election.